Hello and welcome to the Pretty Good Gaming Daily Triple, your no shit gaming news video. That's 3 news stories in one video with zero faff. Marvel's Avengers has been on life support for some time now, but Square Enix and Crystal Dynamics are still trying to keep it alive. In a new 44-minute live stream titled Square Enix Presents, the company dropped a few details about upcoming games and content including Avengers, A New Life is Strange, and the newly named Forspoken. It also showed off titles like Outriders, Tomb Raider, Definitive Survival Trilogy, Just Cause Mobile, and a few others. In tandem with this live stream, Marvel's Avengers is now playable on PS5 and Xbox Series X with a bunch of performance and graphical enhancements, as well as including a brand new playable character and storyline in the form of Hawkeye. First up, let's talk tech briefly. I watched Digital Foundry's tech breakdown of the PS5 version, so check the link below if you want something a bit more comprehensive than what I'm about to tell you. It is worth pointing out that they were only able to test the single player portion of the game and not any of the online content, so bear that in mind. Basically, the PS5 version offers you a choice of either performance mode or quality mode, not both, so you'll have to choose between 4K visuals or 60 frames per second. In performance mode, you should expect 2160 visuals via checkerboarding, which may drop to around 1800 or 1440 during high intensity segments, while keeping a pretty consistent 60 frames per second, but in quality mode you'll experience native 4K resolution at a very stable 30 FPS. Performance mode is still a decent step up from the PS4 Pro's visuals, though obviously quality mode takes things a step further with improved shadows and post-processing effects like motion blur and depth of field. Quality mode also adds enhanced destruction, which brings in more dynamic particles and debris, which looks much more spectacular than just the normal visuals. On PS5, the game loads to the menu in around 4 seconds, while on the PS4 Pro it takes as long as 24 seconds. Then loading into the gameplay itself, they found it took just another 4 seconds to reach the cutscene after beating the Taskmaster boss, whereas it took a frankly embarrassing 1 minute and 2 seconds on PS4 Pro. Again, check the link below for Digital Foundry's full 20-minute breakdown of everything. In addition to the new generation upgrade, March 18th also saw the introduction of fan favorite Hawkeye. He joins with a new story expansion, Future Imperfect, which sees all the Avengers eliminated in a post-apocalyptic future where a new version of Hulk is all that remains. The stream showed off some actual gameplay of Hawkeye in action across a few different locations for the Future Imperfect operation. The Twitter account also shared his challenge card, the game's version of a battle pass, which allows you to earn cosmetics through challenges, but it will cost you 1,000 credits or $10. After that was a roadmap of content for 2021. March brings the Future Imperfect operation as mentioned, then through spring comes Tachyon Anomaly and Red Room Takeover, followed by Project Omega and Wasteland Patrol coming summer and beyond. They didn't actually explain what any of these are and just featured a sizzle reel of gameplay snippets. The Red Room Takeover event is said to be connected to the Black Widow solo movie, currently billed for release on the 7th of May, a whole year late due to Foster's fever. But after that came the big reveal for the game that Black Panther is joining the roster at some point later this year. The character was already half confirmed back in August after the tragic passing of Chadwick Boseman, who brought the character to life on the big screen. Black Panther's introduction is narrated by Ulysses Claw, who seems to describe an invasion of Black Panther's home nation Wakanda as he seeks the precious metal vibranium that is in abundance there. Claw is one of Black Panther's biggest adversaries and has one of the goofiest origins around. Despite the more grounded industrial terrorist approach that the MCU took, his comic book version involves him transforming into a being of pure sound energy, complete with a sonic cannon in place of his right arm. We then saw the king himself drop in with a classic superhero landing.
Superhero landing! Yeah, that's really hard on your knees.
Totally impractical, they all do it.
While the rest of the heroes have been met with a lot of criticism for their costumes and aesthetics, this version of Black Panther actually looks pretty spot on. His vibranium catsuit makes him look sleek and elegant while retaining the broad Panther-esque physique, something I think was lost in the movies when they transitioned to his new suit in the solo movie. The Avengers segment of the stream ended there and continued with announcements like Balan Wonderworld, Life is Strange True Colors, and Forspoken, formerly known as Project Athea. As a quick aside, Forspoken actually looks really nice as they showed off a little gameplay with some very dynamic and fluid traversal. It's not out until next year, but I think it is one to watch and even got 5k upvotes on Reddit, so people are paying attention. This new Avengers content has breathed a little life back into the game, which is to be expected. Being playable on the new generation with these decent improvements will bring in some players, and the addition of a new character and storyline to play through will bring back some of those who fell off. According to Steam charts at the time of writing, the game has 1,300 players online right now and saw 2,000 over the past 24 hours, which is a huge improvement over the less than 800 it peaked at last month. Obviously, this is only on Steam, and I'd expect to see console figures much higher since it's a pretty casual game. Learning Black Panther is coming is cool, but I still have doubts whether he will really be enough. By the time he comes out at who knows when, he might be too little too late. Still, he's a cool character and should have pretty unique gameplay to set him apart from the other characters instead of having two archers back to back. I've said it every time I talk about it, I really want to like the game and I hope to be proven wrong.
You are wrong! All of you are wrong!
And next up, Sony recently announced that it's pushing forward with a new version of PSVR, and it just shared the funky new controllers that will come with it. These controllers look very similar to the Valve Index controllers as they feature a cage that wraps around your hand. Each controller has an analog stick, two face buttons, a trigger, and a grip button. The left hand has triangle and square with L1 on the grip, L2 on the trigger, and the create button. Then the right hand has circle and X. I'm not ever going to call it cross. Sony, stop trying to make that happen.
It's not going to happen.
R1 on the grip, R2 on the trigger, and the options button. PlayStation claims that each VR controller will feature adaptive triggers similar to the PS5's DualSense controller. This should, in theory, make you feel the difference when you're performing actions like drawing an arrow on a bow versus pulling the trigger on a pistol. These sorts of features are somewhat controversial among gamers, as many think they add another level of immersion, while others think they're just annoying, needless gimmicks.
Everyone's got a gimmick now.
Personally, I quite like this sort of thing, and for VR it makes even more sense. Additionally, these controllers will feature haptic feedback to create a more impactful, textured, and nuanced experience which should distinguish the feeling of traversing a desert and fighting in melee combat. Finger touch detection is one of the hot buzzwords of VR these days, as it adds another layer of control and ideally more immersion. This means the controller can detect your fingers without a hard input, supposedly allowing for more natural gestures with your hands during gameplay. In terms of tracking, these controllers will be tracked through a new headset and a ring across the bottom of the controller. There is no word on when the new PSVR will launch, what it will be called, or most importantly how much it will actually cost. There are a few very interesting things going on in VR, but the price of it prevents most people being able to enjoy it and the lack of quote-unquote real games. Half-Life Alyx is VR's hot app, and by all accounts is pretty damn great, but most people simply can't afford to drop $1,000 on the VR unit to play it, and then another $1,000 on a PC to run the damn thing. The original PSVR was a much more affordable alternative to systems like the Valve Index or Oculus Rift, so I think Sony would be mad to price themselves out by not following a similar track. You can get the old PSVR headset for around £300 at the moment, which is far cheaper than most of the alternatives, but there will be a performance and quality drop-off. Though I've never used the PSVR system specifically, I've spent a bit of time in VR, and these new controllers look way better than the Move controllers you had to use previously. And finally, to wrap things up in this very slow news week, Sony made a pretty big move and has officially co-purchased the EVO fighting game tournament. The championship event plays host to the best players of various fighting games, including Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat, and the only one I personally care about, Super Smash Bros. Sony will be working with a new company, RTS, to bring this year's event EVO 2021 to fans in August from the 6th to the 8th and 13th to the 15th. Mark Giulio, EVO's Chief of Business Development, assured fans that the event will still remain open to all platforms and won't be a Sony exclusive party. Guilty Gear Strive, Mortal Kombat 11 Ultimate, Street Fighter V Championship Edition, and Tekken 7 are all explicitly mentioned on the website, but Smash is nowhere to be seen. The fate of Smash Bros is very up in the air at the moment, as Nintendo has seemingly done everything in its power to squash any form of competition among fans, so many are worried that it may never return to the show. I play Smash Ultimate very frequently, but my god, the online mode in that game is just awful. EVO and the fighting game community as a whole has had a hell of a year, with various organisers and competitors being accused of virtually everything under the sun, and the dismissal of the CEO following paedophilia accusations. As much as I love playing Smash with my friends, that community is toxic as and is the main reason I avoid the competitive scene anyway. Well, that and I'm nowhere near on that skill level. Sony buying up part of the event may breathe some new vigour into it, but it also means they're taking on all that baggage and controversy too.
And that's it for today. If you enjoyed this no shit format, go ahead and give the video a like to give it a boost. Hit subscribe and the bell if you want to stay up to date on all future installments. Toss a coin to your YouTuber over at patreon.com/prettygoodgaming. That's all for today. I've been Henry Cooper. Bye for now.